Hi everyone, it's Rax. The final patch notes have been released for Season 21, and we finally have the start date, which will be Friday, July 3rd, which is a little bit of a weird date for people in the United States, because the very next day, July 4th, is the United States Independence Day. For some people, that might be amazing because you may have time off. For other people, it may be a very difficult time, like for me, because I was looking forward to hanging out with my friends and family. So, interesting date choice there, but it is what it is, so it's coming out July 4th. Let's go over the final patch notes very quickly, and there have been some changes that I want to talk to you about. So, one thing, Hadric's Gift, what do you get for doing your seasonal journey? If you saw my class tier list, we already covered this, but just to be clear, these are the sets that you're going to get in Season 21. The really, really super godly one is the Demon Hunter gets Impale. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a leveling guide for you to show you everything on exactly how to do it, and I will highlight the Demon Hunter because most people will play Demon Hunter next season. But Monks get Sun Wugus, which is amazing. So these are the two really good ones. The rest of them are pretty potato sets, all right? So the patch notes, we've already covered this. The God Demon Hunter is going to be an extremely strong build. We've got the guide out for it. Nothing has changed since we've talked about it a couple of times. If you want the full guide, go check it out. But essentially, you're a Whirlwind Barb, kind of. But it's got some amazing power to it. It's got extreme mobility. It's got pretty good survivability. And one thing that I like about this build, two things that I like about it are you're constantly hitting the monsters, which makes it easy for them to follow you. And the second thing I like about it is you're constantly doing damage, which is nice. There's no downtime in damaging. You don't have to plan around your convention of the elements cycle very much, anything like that. You're just constantly murdering the monsters. Okay, there have been some changes to a lot of the items. None of this has changed since we've talked about it before. One thing I do want to point out, Odyssey's End does look like it's going to make it with 150% increased damage from all sources. You don't know what that means? It means I have to make a support Demon Hunter guide for you. So it is there. I never thought that would survive, but here it is. It's going in, so we'll check it out. They have a note, with the adjustments coming in for a few past Necromancer sets and abilities, we will continue to evaluate the performance of this new set this season and may make additional adjustments in the future seasons if we believe they are necessary. There is going to be a change coming, but I don't think it's enough, so I do think we are going to get more changes to the Necro set. Their new set with the Bone Spears is pretty tanky, but it seems pretty underwhelming. Just doesn't do very much damage. There is going to be a change down below that's going to help it. In my opinion, I don't think it's nearly enough, but we'll see. This set is very tanky, and it's pretty fun to play if you'd like to play it, but what I would recommend you play, if you're going to play a Necro, in Season 21 is the Poison Scythe Necro. We have that guide out. Another good option is Corpse Explosion with the Grasp of Essence, Gloves, and Corpse Explosion itself got buffed. I'll have a guide for you on that as well. Remember, if you didn't see it, I had a video where I did a 145 3-man as Corpse Explosion. I was the Trash Clearer and the RGK. I did both jobs. There are very, very few specs ever in the game that can do both at such a high level. So don't sleep on Corpse Explosion. It's very good. Okay, and we've got a bunch of changes here. Haunted Visions, of course, is enabling this Grim Scythe build, the Poison Scythe, to just dominate. Crusader got nerfed. People always ask, are Crusaders going to be the best RGK? Yep, still the best. They're probably still going to get first in solo as well. So Crusaders still godly. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw them nerfed again. But remember, if you watch the tier list, one thing that I'd like to caution, if you keep nerfing Satyrs over and over and over, this is their only good build. If you keep nerfing it into a ground, what's a Crusader going to do? Now, I'm not a Crusader main, and I'll admit to you, it's not my favorite class, but I never root for a class to just have nothing left. So let's see what happens to Satyrs. Stone of Jordan, each of your elementals' damage bonus is equal to your highest static elemental bonus to a skill. Like I said, when I first read this, it doesn't seem all that helpful for a lot of different builds. Maybe we'll find a way to squeeze it into something, maybe double element Veers. It sounds a lot better than it really is, Almost every build in Diablo 3 is designed around dealing damage in one element type. So getting bonus damage in the other element types is just usually not that helpful. Plus, keep in mind, when you take Stone of Jordan or Cubit's Power, you're taking the place of something else you could take with it. Focus and Restraint, Traveler's Pledge and Compass Rose, or a Squirt's Necklace, or a Flavor of Time. Is this better than any of that? For almost every build? No. Coming on down here. Changes to Simulacrum. If you saw the Poison Scythe build, this is the changes that we need. And Witch Doctor Spirit Barrage. The Spectres from Phantasms no longer benefit from pet bonuses. So we lose Mask of Jerem, and we lose Enforcer. Maybe we find a way to pick up Squirt's Necklace, or we take Frostburns and Zaystone, or something. Did the Witch Doctor get nerfed? Yes. Is the Witch Doctor still the best trash clear? Probably, other than the Poison Scythe Necro. Still super strong, still a super godly build. Witch Doctors didn't lose their Pain Enhancer, which is what you really needed for groups. They still get the thumbs up. Witch Doctors, breathe easy, sleep well, don't worry about it. They're still really good. Now here are the bug fixes, okay? Let's look at this. Following issues were only live on the PTR, but we're including the fixes here for visibility to indicate intended functionality on live. Seasonal effects no longer deal area damage. Now, there's been so many ups and downs with the seasonal buff, okay? First of all, people were kind of complaining that the Season 21 buff felt like the Season 19 buff. Okay, that's fair. When people were first starting to use it, especially in groups, I remember when SVR and I were leveling up and trying it, we thought that the seasonal buff did absolutely nothing. Nothing. Didn't even help us, which made us sad because we'd like a seasonal buff to do something for us, right? But then people discovered that the seasonal buff did area damage, and in certain situations, the seasonal buff was powerful enough to essentially just one-shot a GR 150. So, they're making some changes here to try to fix it. So first of all, the seasonal buff no longer deals area damage. The seasonal buff resets if a player enters and exits a rift. This is probably to avoid some nonsense with exploiting that we've seen in the past. Let's go all the way down here. They changed the seasonal buff to base its damage based on the amount of kills, not really a bug, more of a change. Well, because of that, we have no idea how powerful it is, right? But this does have big implications for a lot of solo builds if it's strong and in rifts. Let me give you some examples. Let's say that the seasonal buff starts off very weak and ends up very, very strong. Well, that means that you could essentially maybe not start in a Festering Woods, the best map. You could start in anything even decent. A Shrouded Moor, a Sands, could be a Festering, a Battlefields. And you want your super, super juicy map to come later. You pull everything together after you've gotten some kills, and bam, you just destroy everything toward the end of the rift and get a mega hit there. It also means that mob types with a super high count of monsters will be more ideal than, let's say, the same progression on smaller monsters. So for example, maybe a Dark Hellion Festering, which has zillions of monsters and is pretty valuable, might be better than like an Unburied Festering, which has the big hulks where if you can get them all together, it's massive progression. But at the end of the day, you only cleared 60 monsters, whereas Dark Hellions, you killed 300. Or maybe like the little bugs or the Vile Swarms, or even summoners that constantly summon the little skeletons. Any way that you can get a ton of kills is going to be ideal. Another thing that this means is that builds that really struggle on the Guardian but can obliterate the regular Rift may now all of a sudden have a chance to kill the Guardian. Did you see my GR 135 Death Nova Necro clear? Where I had like 7 or 6 minutes for boss, and I needed them. I needed that much time. And I had to Nema Pylon with the elites, and they were illusionist, with the area damage, just to have a chance to kill a Guardian. I mean, I spent like 6 minutes on the Guardian. Well, that build, all day long, I guarantee you, can smash the trash and get through the Rift. I can get through the Rift on that build all the time. But I can never guarantee that I will ever have enough time for the boss. Well, if I can get through it now and just get 1,000 kills, and I get to the boss and I only have 2 minutes, but I get 1 seasonal buff, if it's strong enough to just one-shot that Guardian for me, now all of a sudden I can clear like 10 tiers higher on that build, because the only thing that was ever stopping me was the Guardian. It also means that solo Witch Doctor may now be better than solo Crusader, because we had them very, very close on the tier list. We thought the Crusader was going to win. But if the Witch Doctor has tons of trouble with the Guardian, and the Satyr really doesn't, the Satyr can smack a Guardian better than almost any solo build, which is why it's the best RGK. But now, Witch Doctors, all you got to do is potentially get through the Rift, and if you get enough kills, maybe the seasonal buff will be strong enough to clear the Guardian for you. These are the things that you should keep in mind here. We're going to be targeting, potentially, if it's strong, assuming it's strong, I have no idea, we'll have to try it, small spiders, vile swarms, summoners, dark hellions, over things like maybe even transformers will take a backseat because it just doesn't have enough mobs, okay? So think about that. Vix Maltorius' Petrified Spike, instead of dealing additive damage, it does multiplicative damage. So that's buffing the new set. That was their fix for it not being enough damage. Is this enough to make it enough damage? Well, almost certainly not to compete with stuff like Poison Scythe. But I guess, like with everything, we're going to have to try it. But it's a step in the right direction. Blizzard is recognizing that this build is underpowered, and they specifically left this note. They'll be monitoring it. So Blizzard's doing a good job listening to the feedback. I guess let's see how it goes. The seasonal thing no longer works in set dungeons. Okay, whatever. And fix the seasonal buff that sometimes may drop off whenever a player enters an invulnerable state. That's good. I never saw that bug, but I'm glad that they fixed it. Okay, so July 3rd, it's coming out. For everybody that's not in the United States, that's probably a fine date. For everybody in the United States, I'd be interested to see in the comments. I read every comment and every question on every video. What did you think about this date? Is it a good date for you? Is it a bad date? How do you feel about Blizzard releasing something essentially directly on a holiday? Is it good in the sense that maybe you had time off and time to play? Or is it bad in the sense that this was the time to watch fireworks and have a barbecue? I don't know. My opinion would be a bunch of my friends were going to come down, but now I've got to choose either blasting the seasonal date or hanging out with them. Feels bad, man. That's it, guys. That's Season 21. Tomorrow, I'm going to release the leveling guide, and we will highlight the Demon Hunter, and I'll show you exactly how to get 1 to 70. And a lot of people have been asking me, Rax, wait, what about after you get to 70? Can you help me with that? I will include that in the video. I'll make it a little bit more comprehensive. We'll go a little bit beyond. And I'll talk to you some more about how to power up, because some people have left me comments on YouTube videos before. It's like, Rax, I followed your 1 to 70. I'm watching your stream. It's looking pretty good. Okay, you're a little bit ahead of me, but I'm catching up. And then I look 3 hours later, and you're Paragon 1000, and I'm Paragon 90. Well, I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to be Paragon 1000 as well. So we'll talk about that in the leveling guide. And Corpse Explosion guide should be coming. I guess I have to make a support Demon Hunter guide because Odyssey's End is still live. If you haven't checked it out, check out the tier list. It should be pretty accurate. The only thing is, if this is actually good, maybe Witch Doctor will beat Satyr in solo. Maybe the Death Nova Necro is going to be godly if the seasonal buff is good enough to kill the Guardian for it. It's going to be a good season, guys. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in Season 21.